artist. For this project, we're going to be using several types of lines. Here I have a zigzag, I have a horizontal, I have diagonal lines which go from corner to corner, and I have a vertical line. Then you can also make curvilinear lines. Curvilinear lines have a curve, so you can have a wavy line, you can have diagonal wavy lines, vertical wavy lines, bumpy lines, all different kinds. You can make waves, you can make squiggles, you can make loopy lines, and all of these different types of lines are things that you will be using to create the next project that we're going to do today. We're going to be drawing a sailboat, and when I'm doing this project, I think of Harold and the Purple Crayon, and so that's why I have a purple crayon for what I'm doing today. This is a sailboat that I've drawn before. So the first thing we need is our horizon line. So the horizon is where the sky and the water meet. So I'm making a little wavy line going across. And then I'm going to make a couple more to just break up that area so that I'm not coloring the whole thing with one color. Okay, so once we have our ocean drawn, we're going to go ahead and put our boat into it. And the sailboat in the Harold and the Purple Crayon book has just basically a straight horizontal line that goes across, and then curvilinear lines coming down from each end. So I'm going to make my line really nice and solid and dark. Then I'm going to connect it down to the water, stopping when I get to the waves. That's going to give me the base of the boat. The next thing I need to make is the mast. The mast is a vertical line. So a vertical line goes straight up and down. So going to the middle of the boat and straight up, I'm going to draw a vertical line that's going to be my mast. I'm pressing kind of hard with my purple crayon, not too hard. The next thing I need to make is one of the sails. This is going to be a triangle that's going to come off, and I'm drawing it to the left-hand side of my mast. So I'm going to draw a diagonal line that comes down from the top, and then a horizontal line that comes straight back in towards that mast. On the other side, I'm going to draw a curvilinear mast or a curvilinear sail that kind of looks like it's got some wind that has caught into it. So I'm drawing a curved line, then I'm going to draw another curved line that comes out a little bit further and connects back in. So it kind of almost looks like a crescent moon. So I have my sailboat, I have the mast, I have two sails, and now I need to think about some things that are going to go up into the background. So using my different types of lines, I'm going to draw a cloud. A cloud is going to have bumpy lines, kind of like the waves, but they go around and they connect back into each other. It doesn't go in front of the sail. The cloud should be in the back, so I have to stop when I get to the sail. I can put another cloud up in the sky, up above if I want to. And then over to the side, I'm going to draw a sun. I like to draw a sun with a big zigzag going around it. So I'm going to start with a small circle. And then my sun is going to go off the page, basically. So I'm going to draw a zigzag that goes all the way around that circle. And when I hit the edge of the page, that's okay. I don't have to stop. I don't have to squeeze it in. I can, but sometimes it goes all the way off the page. And that's going to be my sun up in the sky. Now I need to think about some pattern that happens on my boat. So the base of the boat, a lot of times they'll have a little stripe that goes across the wooden part of the base of the boat. So you can draw a little line that goes straight across and then make another one. And this one I didn't do quite as straight as I would like. So I'm going to fill that in. If I want to turn it into a pattern later, I can, or I can just color it in nice and solid. Then I get to put pattern up into my sails. Your pattern can be whatever you choose. I like dots, I like stripes. So those are the things that I usually put in. You get to decide whatever you're going to put in. All right, so now that we've finished our pattern, we've got curvilinear lines that are making up our sails and the patterns in the sails either between the dots or the curved stripes that are happening. We have the horizontal lines that are making up the base of our boat. We have our zigzag going around our sun and bumpy lines for our waves and for our clouds. Then we're going to start thinking about how we're going to color this in. Now, I had made a mistake that I didn't like in the stripe that goes on the boat. So I need to think about if I'm going to turn that into a pattern or if I'm going to color it in. So I can start by trying to make a pattern out of it. I'm going to connect it, and then I'm going to start doing some lines that are going to come off of it. If I like that, then I can make that be a pattern of color. If I don't like it, then I'll be able to go in and color over it. There's no reason that I can't use my purple crayon for my coloring for the solid color that I choose to use on my boat. I don't really like that pattern that I've got going, so I'm going to go ahead and make that solid. I'm going to color in all of the base of the boat, and then I'm going to think about how I'm coloring my water. Now, as I color, I try really hard to color in the direction of my main line. So that is a horizontal line going across the boat. I'm going to color in a horizontal line in the stripes. I'm going to do the same thing for the main part of the boat. Coloring horizontally, back and forth, filling it in as solidly as I can. With the waves at the bottom, it's going to help me if I go along and I give myself a little bit of a border. So I'm going to color along the edge of the boat. I'm going to color right there at the edges of the waves, and then I'm going to fill all of that in with that horizontal line. Now I have the base of my boat filled in. I want to make my wave lines a little bit darker, so I'm going to take that purple crayon. I'm going to go back over all of those wave lines, making them a little bit more solid. They're going to stand out a little bit more because once I start getting the watercolor in there, that purple line is going to be a little bit lighter. It's going to fade away a little bit, and I really like that. So I'm going to make those nice and solid by just putting another layer in on top. Okay, once you have your waves done, you can start thinking about the colors that you want to use. So I'm going to use a couple of different blues. I've got some greens over here. I'm going to think about what I want, and depending on how many wave lines you gave yourself, that's going to determine how many colors you're going to use. I'm using 2. I'm going to alternate them. And again, I'm going to give myself that little bit of a border. Kind of gives me a little bit of a buffer zone if I do that first, and then I can color in between it. Do the same thing with the second color. And I'm using the same direction of my waves for coloring all of that in. Next thing I'm going to work on is my my sail, or no, my sky. I'm going to do the sky next. As I do the sky, I want to color slow and smooth up next to my line, so next to my waves, next to my boat, around my clouds. So I'm going to color all of that in first, and then just very lightly pressing down. I don't want this to be a dark nighttime sky. So just very, very lightly pressing down. I'm going to color all the way up to all of my areas, even the edge of the paper. And then I can color out from those areas. I can fill in the bigger spaces in between. For my sky, I'm having it be a nice light sky, but I'm coloring horizontally. That's going to make it a lot easier for me to color in, and I'm trying to do it all in the same direction. I'm not going scribble scrabble up and down diagonally, side to side. I'm keeping it all in one direction, side to side, So horizontal lines as I fill in the whole entire sky. Okay. So the next thing I want to think about is the pattern on my sail. So each of those little circles, I'm using a series of colors. I might repeat some of them. I could make each one of them be a different one. Doesn't really matter. It's whatever you like to use. If you want to use all the colors in your crayon box, use all of them. If you want to use just 3 or 4, just use 3 or 4. But have fun with what you do. And then to color around them, you really need to think about how you're going to set that out. Make those colors pop. So I've used mostly warm colors for my polka dots. I'm going to use a cooler color for the sail itself. Again, I'm coloring all in one direction. I'm going in the diagonal of that outer edge of the sail. And so filling all of that in. Now I have to decide on my other sail. Again, I'm going to outline it first, then color in. I'm going to skip every other one. Outlining those blocks first and then filling it in all the way, nice and solid. Last little bit is just a tiny triangle at the bottom. The final thing that I have to do is my sun. So I'm going to fill in the middle part first. When I made that circle with the purple crayon, I had a little bit of a, not quite a connection, so I'm going to make that a little bit darker, make that be on purpose. And then I can go in and fill on the last bit. And I'm coloring in kind of a zigzag as I go around, so out to the edge of my points and back into my circle, out to the edge of my points and back into my circle. Smooth, clean coloring, staying inside the lines that I gave myself. And then once I'm done, I have a bright, happy sailboat out on kind of a choppy little sea. So I hope you've enjoyed this project. Maybe look at Harold and the Purple Crayon. See if there's some other things in there that inspire you to draw something different. He's got lots of adventures in all of those little books. Crockett Johnson is the author on that one. And you don't have to draw exactly what's there, but you can do something that inspires you, something that looks like it would be a lot of fun. And make a beautiful picture.